Hari Om, my dear students. Myself, Acharya Yogeshwar. I am again present here with the classes of biology for class 9. We have already learned about the definition of tissue, what are different types of tissue, and we have also learned about meristem or meristematic tissue in plant tissue. Now we have to learn about permanent tissue. What is permanent tissue? How can we recognize a permanent tissue? So now look at a tree which has been cut by a saw, and you can see such a cross section, and in this cross section you will see different size of rings, concentric rings. Actually these different rings, different colors of rings show different tissues. In the center, the dark colored part is made up of such tissues whose cells have lost the capacity of division. Now their cells cannot divide and redivide. So they do not take part in growth, whether in length or in breadth. So these are permanent tissue. So we can define the plant tissue, which is made of such cells which do not have capacity of division, is called permanent tissue. Its cells are either living or dead. They have a definite shape, size and function. Are there different types of permanent tissue? Yes, there are two types of permanent tissue: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. What is it meant by a simple permanent tissue? Actually, when we find anything in which there is not complexity, then it is called simple. So a permanent tissue is called simple permanent tissue if its cells are similar in origin, structure and function. So if we see a simple permanent tissue, we find same shapes of cells. It is made up of cells which have same shape and nearly same size, and they all do the same work. What are the different types of simple permanent tissue? There are three types of simple permanent tissue: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma is soft tissue, oval shaped or irregular shaped cells which have thin cell wall are loosely packed. It means, look at in the diagram, cells are present here, but they are not compact. They are loosely packed. They are oval in shape. Cell wall is thin, and these are living cells. So, the most common simple permanent tissue which is made of loosely packed thin walled living cell is known as parenchyma. There are intercellular spaces in it. Look at here, these are cells and there are spaces in between these cells. These spaces are called intercellular space. On the other hand, collenchyma is also made up of living cells, but its cells are closely packed. These cells are closely packed. There is no intercellular space here, and the cell wall is thick at corners. So somewhere cell wall is thick, somewhere it is thin. So the simple permanent tissue made up of closely packed, irregularly thick walled living cells is called collenchyma. No intercellular space is found here. The third simple permanent tissue is sclerenchyma. It is made up of dead cells. The cells are very closely packed, that is compact arrangement is found here. Cell wall is thick everywhere. So the simple permanent tissue made up of compactly packed, thick walled or lignified wall dead cells is called a sclerenchyma. Think about, in case of parenchyma, cell wall is thin. Here the cell wall is made up of only cellulose. In case of collenchyma, the cell wall is thick at corners because there is deposition of pectin and cellulose, and these depositions fill up the intercellular spaces. So here intercellular space is not found and cell wall is found thick at corners due to deposition of pectin and cellulose. But in case of a sclerenchyma, the whole cell wall is thick, and it is thick because there is a coat of lignin. So the cell wall is called lignified wall. And as the cells are closely packed, there is no space here, there is no intercellular space. So you shall compare parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. That is, you have to write what are the differences between parenchyma and collenchyma, parenchyma and sclerenchyma. What is the difference between collenchyma and sclerenchyma? In this way, you can learn by heart these three types of simple permanent tissue by comparing them. You shall uh, draw the diagram, practice the diagram in such a way that you could compare them easily. Thank you. Have a nice day.